Drew McIntyre won the men's Money in the Bank briefcase. As I told you he would, the minute that he qualified for Money in the Bank, I knew he was winning it. The only question was, were they going to screw him over, or would they screw him over later on in the show when he tried to cash in? That was really the only question, and I figured it would happen later in the show, and that's exactly what happened. We had Damian Priest and Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Stipulations were that if Rollins were to lose, if he did not win the world title, then he could never challenge for it again so long as Damian Priest had that belt. And if Damian Priest lost the championship, then he would have to leave the Judgment Day. So those were the stakes coming into this match. The moment that Drew McIntyre won Money in the Bank, you knew there was going to be a cash-in, or at least a cash-in attempt. He told us. He guaranteed us. He already told us in advance. He called his shot. He said, I'm leaving Toronto as the World Heavyweight Champion. So, yeah, you knew that it was coming. Priest knew it was coming. He kept looking back over his shoulder. He was looking at the aisleway constantly throughout the entire match. And then we had the moment where Seth Rollins hit his superplex Falcon Arrow combo. And he had Damian Priest pinned. And the referee counted 1, the referee counted 2. And the referee held up his count even though Damian Priest did not kick out. Priest was looking up at Rollins, mouthing something. I'm sure he was not happy because what happened here, I'm sure what happened here, is that they were waiting for the music to hit. Because 15 seconds later, Drew McIntyre's music finally hits. Or it felt like 15, but it's probably like 10 seconds later. Drew McIntyre's music hits. And out he comes for the cash-in. So what I assume was going to happen there in that spot is the music would have interrupted the pinfall. The referee would have been distracted by it. Everybody would look to the aisleway. Here comes Drew McIntyre right when Rollins had the match won. And I think that would have fed into his anger at Drew McIntyre coming out of the match. But the way it played out, it didn't look good. They screwed the whole fucking thing up. Because it just looked like Rollins got screwed out of the title, which he did. And maybe they'll find a way to incorporate that now into the storyline. But unfortunately, it came off horribly. And I don't blame Damian Priest because I think the music was supposed to hit. He was waiting for it and it didn't happen. So somebody dropped the ball here. And I don't think it was either of these guys or the referee. And what was the referee supposed to do? McIntyre came out and he cashed in the briefcase. The bell rang, which made it an official cash in. And right when it looked like he was about to win this match, CM Punk attacks from behind. And he gets him outside the ring and he assaults him with a steel chair and he grabs the World Heavyweight title and he hits McIntyre in the head with it. And McIntyre stumbles into a South of Heaven chokeslam. And Damian Priest, for the second month in a row, pins Drew McIntyre to retain the World Heavyweight title thanks to the assist from CM Punk. When the match was over, Rollins was obviously very angry, and he was looking at Punk, who was sitting cross-legged on the announce desk, and he started walking towards him, and he was basically yelling, you get involved in my business, don't get involved in my business. He was more angry at Punk than McIntyre, although McIntyre was the one who cashed in and theoretically would have ruined what may have been the winning pinfall for him. So my point is, Seth Rollins would have beef with both of these men. He should be angry at Drew McIntyre for cashing in at the exact wrong moment. And he should be angry at CM Punk for getting involved in his business. He already doesn't like Punk. We know this. If you were watching my SmackDown review on Friday night, I told you about some news that I had heard about a little while ago. And again, this is before everything went down the way it did at Money in the Bank last night. I told you this on Friday night. I said what I had heard is that the role for Seth Rollins at SummerSlam was originally penciled in as the special guest referee. Not a match, but a special guest referee spot for the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match at SummerSlam. And it surprised me when I heard that. And I do wonder if maybe that was the plan had Seth not come back early from his injury. Maybe they thought, well, if he's not medically cleared to wrestle, he could be a referee. Maybe that's not the plan now. Maybe the plan is a triple threat match. But I just think they've been building for so long now to Punk and McIntyre. How are you going to make it a triple threat match? Like that needs to be a singles match. You've got to do that first match at SummerSlam. And I just think inserting anybody else into this is unnecessary. But if Rollins is going to be the enforcer, if he's going to be the referee for the match, then we get McIntyre and Punk one-on-one, but Rollins gets to be involved in some way. Looking at the way they did the finish, I just think it reinforces the idea that maybe that is the plan. Maybe the plan really is for Seth Rollins to be a referee in that match, right? Everybody keep sticking their nose in his business. Well, now he's going to stick his nose in theirs. And how's he going to play it? Because he doesn't like McIntyre, but he hates Punk. And it's not like we haven't seen this at SummerSlam in the past. They did it famously in 97 with Shawn Michaels when he was the referee for the title match between Bret Hart and The Undertaker. And he had no love lost for Bret Hart. But in the end, one wrong move ended up costing The Undertaker, and Bret left with the WWF title. That finish last night, I think, makes it more likely in my mind that maybe that really is what we're headed towards. I'd still be very surprised, though, if he's capable of working a match that they don't have Rollins wrestling on the show. But if you think about it, there really is no other obvious place for him on the card. And unless they turn this into a triple threat with Punk and Drew, there is no obvious role for him on the show other than maybe being a referee for that match. So we'll see how it plays out on Monday night. I guess we won't have to wait very long to find out what direction they're going in with Seth Rollins. The cash-in, everything here worked out exactly the way that I laid it out to you last week. And I know a lot of people are going to be upset that they wasted the Money in the Bank briefcase. Oh, they wasted it. Why would they do that? They didn't waste it. The Money in the Bank briefcase does not need to be utilized the exact same way every single year. You win the briefcase, you hold on to it for a month or 6 months or 9 months, and then you do the surprise cash-in and you win the world title or you don't. Why does it have to work that way? Nobody else in this match was going to successfully cash in Money in the Bank. LA Knight is going to be feuding with Logan Paul for the US title. He was not winning Money in the Bank. Jey Uso was not going to successfully cash in Money in the Bank. There is no obvious time in the future, the near future, that I see where this man would win the world championship on either brand. So while he's super popular, I don't think that there was really much of a point in having him walk around with a briefcase that he does not need because he is already super over. And then you have Carmelo Hayes and you have Andrade, Chad Gable. I mean, let's be honest, none of these people were going to successfully cash in Money in the Bank. It wasn't a waste of a briefcase because it fit the story that they were telling here. They needed to do it the way that they did. If Rollins is going to be involved in this in some way, then they had to do what they did. Because how else is Seth Rollins all of a sudden going to be inserted into this feud? So no, it was not wasted. They just decided to tell a different story this year that resulted in the briefcase being cashed in the same night. And that's going to irritate the shit out of a lot of people, but you got another briefcase. Guess what? There's somebody else who's going to be walking around with a briefcase on TV. If you're so infatuated with the briefcase, I'm sick to death, frankly, of these fucking briefcases and wish they would get rid of them. But no, they did not waste the Money in the Bank briefcase. They would have wasted the Money in the Bank briefcase had McIntyre cashed in and lost, and then there was no fallout from it. How many times have we seen a failed cash-in that went nowhere? Damian Sandow, failed cash-in. What did it lead to? Nothing. Baron Corbin, failed cash-in. What did it lead to? Nothing. John Cena, failed cash-in. What did it lead to? Nothing. At least here, it's going to lead to something. This is what people don't understand.